Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Business Show. Great to have you back. And we have an unusually interesting and exciting program coming at you with Nicole Goldman of G Green Design Center. I am the host of the show, Bill Fox, and the co-host is none other than the lovely, inimitable, energetic Cliff Robbins.
Lovely.
That's a new one. I like that too.
Coach.
Billy, how are you? Good to see you.
If I call him the coach, don't get upset.
Yeah.
I consider him my coach.
That's right.
In the Belichick sense.
In the Belichick, not the Ernie Pantuso of Cheers sense, right? Yeah.
Right.
The bartender.
Okay. Anyway, great to have you back, and we have so much content tonight with Nicole Goldman that we want to move right on to the regular feature of this show, which is Cliff's Notes. And we do this in every single show because Cliff is a senior advisor for the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center Network. And as such, he is constantly on the move, constantly advising, contacting people, attending important meetings, and he's got his finger on the pulse of small business activity. So we take advantage of that and introduce him for Cliff's Notes. And for this show, Cliff, what have you got for us?
Well, tonight, Bill, I'd just like to give you another little lesson on marketing, a very basic lesson, Marketing 101. And when we're talking about marketing, we talk about different eras. And since the Industrial Revolution of the late 18th century and Adam Smith and Wealth of Nations and all that stuff, and when the economy started to change from an agrarian economy to an industrial economy and everybody building new factories and making products, in big factories. We called it the production era of business. At the turn of that century, turn of the 20th century, the marketing professors started to call it the product era. And it's the old statement of you can have any color Model T you want as long as it's
black.
Right. So that was that era. Now, just before World War II, we had what people were calling the sales era. Salesmanship was big, and forcing people to buy things was huge, and how to sell and how to motivate. And after World War II, we moved into an era that we call the marketing era, the targeting of customers and the science of marketing and developing the art of marketing. Well, in the 1990s, we've moved into what we're calling the societal marketing era, where we're talking about the importance of business and its connection to human beings and society in general. And one of the subjects we're going to talk about tonight is green and sustainable businesses. These things have become very important to customers. They've become very important to companies because their customers are interested in what good works people are doing in their companies, what they're doing to save this planet. Tonight's guest, Nicole Goldman, is going to be talking to us. First, we're going to get a little education. What do we mean by green? And then we're going to, as usual, chat with a real entrepreneur who has some real scars that I'm always talking about, and find out what some of her trials and tribulations and the courage that it takes to start a new business. So let's...
Well, no, she's not going to show us the scars, right?
She just, no. She's going to show us some of the material, but the scars are internal.
I have some new ones. I have some new ones, actually.
You have some new ones, right. So, Nicole, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Bill, tell us a little bit about Nicole.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Nicole is the founder and CEO of G Green Design Center, which is headquartered in Mashpee Commons in Mashpee on Cape Cod. But Nicole was born and grew up in New York City, NYC, but not a Yankees fan.
Not a Yankee. I understand that.
Okay.
Not a Yankee fan.
All right, don't get excited.
Yeah, relax. Red Sox next year.
Sit back down. Yeah. It's okay. But she was born and grew up in the New York City area, and but she graduated from the University of California at Berkeley. And then she obtained an MBA from NYU back in New York City. And subsequent to that, moved to Boston, and where she and her husband ran a product design company, and grew that successfully, and then sold it. And then that was followed by a world tour
With our kids.
8 months,
Literally.
huh?
With our kids,
Whole
yeah.
family.
The
8-month world tour.
It's
Cool.
a great
Yeah.
trip, and then moved to Cape Cod. But that wasn't enough for Nicole. She wasn't finished yet. No. Then it came a decision to open G Green Design Center about approximately 3 years ago, and that wasn't enough for Nicole. That didn't finish her off. She had to decide about a year ago that the business was worthy of being franchised, i.e., packaged and sold to other entrepreneurs.
Correct.
And so we want to get into that, Coach. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so she has a hugely interesting background.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. And green, everybody's talking about green and sustainability. Let's give the audience just a little, like 5 or 7 minute lecture on exactly what do we mean by green building basics. Nicole is our resident expert here on this stuff.
Thanks.
And the first one I'd like to ask you about is recycling and reclaiming materials. What's going on in that area?
Well, sure. I mean, green building is all about creating healthy environments, energy efficient environments, and using eco-friendly materials. So when we think about eco-friendly materials, we're going to first think about perhaps reusing some materials, so we don't have to create new materials. We don't have to manufacture them. We don't have to expend energy doing them.
Yeah.
So we have things like this, which is one of our more popular items because of its sort of funny quality. It's made of recycled jeans, okay, or the sweepings off the. Yeah, well, the sweepings off the factory floor, and it's actually used as insulation. And it happens to be highly, highly effective.
The high R value.
High R value, very dense, very easy to use, much easier to use than the dreaded pink stuff, and much more effective in the field. So recycled, reclaimed materials, things that are made for countertops. This is recycled glass and concrete that is made. It's made into a beautiful stone-like counter, and everybody loves it. Wow. It performs beautifully.
Get a shot of that. That is really neat.
It performs beautifully, and it looks great.
If that isn't granite,
yeah,
it's heavy too, folks.
Yeah. Well, it's more interesting than granite, which we don't sell or promote because granite is, while it is natural, it's not renewable. Yeah, right. And so once we take it out of the earth, we have a big hole in the earth, and that's it.
That's our footprint.
That's our footprint. Right. That's exactly right.
Okay. Yeah. Energy efficiency, obviously, there are reasons to make your home and your business and your energy efficient. Just tell us a little bit about the importance of energy efficiency in a green and a sustainable world. Oh, sure. Well, we're constantly trying to reduce our energy usage now. Right. We know that we have limited resources, or we're tapping some of the resources that we've traditionally gone to, like oil and gas. Right. So we're trying to go to new types of energy. Sun, let's say, wind, reclaiming some of the heat that's just out there, that's in our atmosphere. And with energy efficiency, in terms of building, you're capturing that, using it as efficiently as possible with insulation, with things like radiant floor heating, with PV, and you're having to demand less of it. So if we all reduce our demand, we're going to have more energy to go around for everybody. Okay. This is a particularly interesting slide that's coming up, folks. Build to last, life cycle costing. What do you mean by that? Well, inherent in green is one of the major principles is that the materials need to be durable and they need to be low maintenance. Okay, so we don't want to replace them over and over and over. So when we look at a product, and we analyze products all the time, should we be selling this, should we not be selling this? At the G Green Design Center, At G Green Design Center, sure, and we qualify products that standards, fit. I know. We have to. People look to us as a resource in the community. Right. So we take a look at the life cycle. What's the manufacturing process? What are they doing to retain energy? How energy efficient are they? What are they doing with the water? Are they recirculating the water in their manufacturing process? What's their distribution channel? Are they, shipping? Are we buying something that has to be shipped across the country, or are we buying things locally? Right. So, those are all the life cycle pieces, and also what's going to be done with the material at the end of its life. Right. So at the end of its life, what is this cotton insulation going to do, as opposed to, let's say, the fiberglass insulation, which is, where's that going to go? That's going to go to a landfill. This might be compostable. Cool. Excellent. Moving on to natural and renewable materials. Now, we've been talking about some of these. Obviously, these are renewable. Wood is a natural.
These are some more. This is a recycled paper. So this is natural. It's made from paper, made from wood.
And trees.
And trees. And it's actually, it's made like this. It's got 140 sheets of recycled paper, highly compressed in a phenolic resin that is cashew nut based.
So what is it for?
What is it for? It's for countertops.
Oh.
Also, or desktops or walls. Actually, they've made skateboard parks. It's really, really, really hard. Yes, really hard, really durable, low maintenance.
Cool.
So, and renewable and recyclable.
Well, recycle, renew.
At the end of its life.
That's a little thing. Renew, recycle.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Okay. Well, obviously, conserving, water and energy are at the heart and soul of what we're talking about.
And around, in New England and the Northeast, we get a little bit lax about conserving water. We think we got tons of water. But, everybody needs to think about the water that we use. We may not be in this good of a situation in the future.
Right.
We need to reclaim, let's say, the water that's running off of our roofs.
Right.
Collect it into rain barrels, use it to water our gardens, so we don't have to expend, water that we could be using for other uses and just for keeping the natural ponds full.
Like the folks in Southern California.
Like the folks in Southern California or Georgia or any number of places.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, as far as human beings go, we're all concerned with safety and health. You see the list are bathroom, living areas, bedrooms, kitchen, attic, garage. Talk a little bit about safety.
When you talk about green and safety and health, it's really all about the materials that we're using and the toxins that are part of that.
Right.
So we start with cleaning materials that don't have toxins. You don't have to hold your breath when you're spraying the spritzer stuff around the table. You're not going to inhale chemicals.
Right.
So
don't have to wear a mask and
so
gloves.
Natural, non-toxic things that use lemon, salt, baking soda, vinegar. I mean, basic things that we have around the house that we can use to clean.
Anyway.
And also introducing materials like paints and stains. Actually, all kinds of flooring that has glues in it. We're trying to get away from anything that has urea formaldehyde in it because that's a known cancer-causing agent. Right. So why would we put these, we spend a large part of the 20th century putting all these preservatives and chemicals into these materials that we use in our home and that are then embodied into this, small structure, and then we breathe it and we are killing ourselves.
Killing ourselves. Okay, well, obviously, you are all about education. It starts with education, and then, of course, you've built your business around educating the public and the world about the importance of green and sustainable products. Talk about LEED and certification programs in general.
There are a lot of certification programs out there. There is no overarching authority like the USDA, federal, FDA for food, nothing, no organic type of certification. So there's just on a federal level, there's just a lot of other smaller pieces. LEED is one, Energy Star is one. Energy Star focuses on energy. LEED focuses on a number of things like materials and proximity to transportation. So it's really up to the individual to figure out what kind of certification they might want or what kind of qualification they just might want, guidelines to follow so that they know that they're building green or living green or
I know how to do that. Just walk into the green store,
come
Green Center in Mashpee, and talk to Nicole Goldman and say, what do I use here, Nicole? Help me out here.
That's what we're there for.
You've been working on this stuff for a while. So.
Right.
So having said that, let's talk a little bit about the business. You moved to Cape Cod, your heart's desire, you and your husband.
Correct.
And you wanted to do something. And how did you get the idea? What was your vision for it? You started, 3 years ago? And tell us a little bit about the beginnings.
Sure. Well, G came about because I had this history of being in the business of art and design. And when we came back from our world trip, I kind of gave myself permission not to be my husband's manager anymore. Yeah. He's a highly creative individual, but he wanted to make films and I wanted to do interior design.
Right.
So I opened up my own interior design company, and I renovated our own home in Woods Hole and tried to do it as green as I possibly could. I had been writing a lot for shelter magazines for the past few years, all about green ideas. It was sort of bubbling up, and I could see that this was a trend in the marketplace. And so I did it for my own house. I was asked by other customers, could you make, I had an 88-year-old woman who had to redo her kitchen, make it green for me, she said, because not only do I want it to be safe and healthy for me, I want it to be that way for my children, if I pass on this house to them. And we had a terrible time trying to locate materials. It's all about accessibility. So I talked to builders and contractors and renewable energy professionals in the area, and they all said, oh yes, we need that. We don't have a place to all come together. So I could see that we sort of needed a marketing arm to pull it all and be a resource center. And that's why I created G as a center. Now, we're not a nonprofit. We're a profit-making business.
And so we're still my force heart.
Well,
capitalist running in my blood.
You know, well, there's a way, I think, to do good.
Well, do it right.
And make a living and pass on the knowledge to other people. For their and actually, you know, there's nothing more pleasant in a job than knowing you're doing good and that you're actually being able to sustain your own family.
So yeah, you eat every day, right? So you open the G Green Design Center in the Mashpee Commons,
Commons,
And
we're over on the north side.
That took some courage.
Yes, well, you know.
Entrepreneurs, risk takers, right?
Right. When I started my first business, I said the only reason that I would have gone into this design business with my husband is because we were young and stupid. You know?
Right. Yeah, I didn't know any better. I did the same thing 3 times.
Right. So then you sort of become a serial entrepreneur, you know. In my first company, we actually, not only did we do projects with customers, but we did get into licensing and basically thinking of an idea once, packaging it, and then selling it to somebody to multiply it many times.
Right. We had a show about licensing with Paula Wilbert, who we worked out a licensing agreement to sell her, you know, her wedgie gloves and things. So we talked about licensing, and so you opened your store, and you're going the route of franchising now. Tell us a little bit of your process.
Well, it's all about making a product scalable, right?
So organizational development. You know, Ray Kroc didn't invent the hamburger, but he invented a process by which you can learn to run your business. Last word. Profitably.
Profitably, that's correct. So about a year into G, I mean, I knew I created it with the idea of branding and identity. We did that very consciously, and my husband actually helped me with the logo. He gets credit, okay?
Well, you're design people.
He's a design